wife, and her unborn child are negative for the AIDS virus or HIV, and he died of full-blown AIDS in less than 6 months. Now you tell me what's going on there. After the fact, no one was allowed to talk to Eric. Not his mother, not his father, none of his friends, anyone. The only person that was allowed to talk to Eric during that time was Jerry Heller, some lawyers, and his wife. Only time they allowed people to come up and see him was when he was in his final stages, where he was barely even conscious, and he was on a ventilator machine. That was the only time people were allowed to see him or speak to him, because they didn't want him expressing anything other than what they had went over. And when they transferred the position of power over to Tamika, Jerry was the overseer.
I remember that.
So when Bone Thugs and Harmony comes out and sells 10 million records and makes over $150 million with their demonic second CD and with the crossword songs, it just led to greed and more powerful people getting involved. The art department started putting more illuminati signs into their music. It became a monumental event to have Bone Thugs and Harmony come by and perform anything. Now at this point, Death Row Records are taken off. And David Kenner, knowing that it's fizzling, that they hit their max and they needed something to get them atop, entered Tupac Shakur. Now Shakur was a guy that the Illuminati feared. They feared this guy. He wasn't selling a lot of records.
Well, Doc was a soldier, though.
Was to notice him when he spoke. It could be about any subject whatsoever. And when he speaks, people followed him. They listened to him. He was the most feared out of all rappers or hip-hop guys or whatever you want to call them. He was the most revered person that the Illuminati paid close attention to every word that he said, because this guy could lead many races, not just African Americans, the white, the Latinos, the Asians. They would all follow this man. Not all rappers have that quality. He possessed it, and it was dangerous. So when he was sent to jail off of the setup, we thought, okay, this is going to veto his career. He's done. But Suge Knight wanted him, and Kenner was worried about us controlling his content. But he agreed when he signed the paperwork to do whatever it was that was required from the company. And that's exactly what he did. But one minute this guy is a Black Panther Party guy, and he's a thug, so he's confused. He doesn't know which direction he's going to go. But if he had the right people steering him, he would be a great asset. And that's why when he came to Death Row, we didn't foresee any problems with having Tupac Shakur in the lineup. Matter of fact, we were so happy and pleased that he was around. It made a lot of people sleep and breathe a lot easier knowing that he was with us, because we were generating on top of not just the West Coast charts, but even the East Coast. We were revered. Now, the problems. Shakur was not receiving the money that we were paying him, even though David Kenner was responsible for paying him. Suge Knight just wanted to keep the majority of the money and pay him in gifts, which infuriated Shakur. Kenner had no idea this was going on at the time. Shakur is telling Just Knight that he wants to see his records. And once that didn't happen, they didn't provide any records for him, that was it. There was no records done. No records. They tried to falsify records to show him, to keep him calm, and then give him gifts. And it angered him to a point where he started recording songs and positioning himself to leave. Now, what Kenner didn't understand was that there was an in-house problem between Knight and Shakur, who were very good friends. So when Tupac saw Kenner, he told him, I'm firing you, and I'm leaving the company. Kenner thought he figured out what was going on, and he wanted out. And this was his way of getting out, the start of it, by firing Kenner. So it was a miscommunication that led to the death of Tupac Shakur. He didn't know Shakur's intentions, but David Kenner was the legitimate owner of Death Row Records without being held in the title like Jerry was of Ruthless Records. So what Kenner knew what he had to do. He didn't want to do it, but Tupac Shakur had to go. He talked to Knight and told Knight, made up a beautiful story about Shakur was going to leave the company and going to try to get Knight for racketeering. He's going to go and cooperate with the feds so that they would drop his charges on the sex case if he was to testify against Knight about racketeering and money laundering. And Knight would be forced to open the books, and it already started because he fired Kenner as the lawyer. So he told Knight what he had to do, and that was pretty much it. Knight made his decision on his own, but he tried to convince Tupac by meeting him in his home and have a conversation with Tupac, and it didn't go the way Knight thought it would go. So he came back and he was on board, and we all know the rest.
Yeah.
Once that happened, the rap world was looking for a new leader, but they still had Sean Combs, who who was pretty much the guy that we look forward to. We put him in charge over Andre Harrell because Harrell is just a talentless dope. Combs has vision. He can see who's going to be a star a mile away. This guy has a gift. And he always did what he was told. That's what Clyde trusted him. And we talked to Clyde plenty of times, and Clyde said he's going to do the right thing. Trust in Combs. He's going to do it. No matter what it is, he listens to Clyde. No problems. We told him to get the hell away from Christopher Wallace. The B.I.G. We told him, stay away from Wallace. We had him surveilling his whole trip through California because we already knew and had word that Knight was setting up to try to cover up his own tracks because he was in jail. But he feared that things would go wrong because the plan didn't go the way he thought. By him being in the car, they would eliminate him as a suspect. People were starting to leak out that he was involved. So he wanted to stage this killing, which wasn't organized by us at all, or anyone that was Illuminati, had nothing to do with the killing of Wallace. It didn't make any sense at all. We had Combs that worked with us. We had no problems. We were surveillancing them. And that's why there's video that you'll never see. They have this whole thing captured, still frame. That's how Combs know what's going on. And we told him to get the hell out of California. Because we didn't know if he was going to be next or what. Get on a plane. Don't talk to anyone. We're going to have our guys get you out of there. And he did. He didn't travel with anyone. He got in the cars and he left. Went right to the airport and got out of California and stayed out of California for about a year. If not longer. Now, with Wallace gone, Shakur's gone, what we did was create unpredictability. We didn't know what could rise from the ashes, but we had our eyes on it, but we didn't look far enough. Because out of nowhere comes this guy named Nas, and he's got Hate Me Now, and he has Combs in the video. And Combs is running around and bouncing around, and we're stunned because we never saw this coming. We thought with the Mace situation that we had taken care of what we were going to make the new rap with Mace as in charge, but he got frightened and he wanted out. And it just changed. The Shakur thing I thought would be the end, and here's this Nas and he's on a cross with Combs, so naturally the Illuminati was upset. And they got in contact with Clyde, and Clyde told Combs, you gotta get out of this video, or they don't like the idea of seeing you on the cross.
So we'll have to keep down Steve's back because he came in a hotel bar.
They didn't like to see him on this cross. So what had to be done was Combs went and told the people, look, you cannot air that video, I have to be off that cross. Yeah. And they aired it on MTV once. Anyway, they ignored Combs' request. So Combs had to take matters in his own hands because his life was on the line. They would have killed him too. And Combs is very fearful of the Illuminati. He will do whatever it takes to stay in the position he is. Believe it. Now, after this Nas, well, we told Combs, bring him in, embrace him, and we'll try to work through him and see what we have. But this soul is confused. He doesn't want fame, he doesn't want anything, but I don't know what his idea was, but he wasn't going anywhere. He was never going to be the guy to be out in front and be the threat that the rest of the nation would have to worry about. He was very quiet, so we didn't have to worry about him. But there's this Jay-Z guy, and he's running around, flashing diamonds, and everyone seems to be flocking to him. So we decided to bring him in. He was very intelligent and very polite. He's got a charismatic way of thinking, and I said to myself, this could be on White Knight. And right when we're working with this guy, here comes Eminem. He's got a mixtape, he's got a rap battle, and Dr. Dre decides he wants to open up a record label. He goes to Paul Rosenberg and said, I'm going to create this record label, and I'm going to sign this guy. And once he did, we had to figure out, we couldn't mess this up because this guy was good. He had black crowds going crazy for him. No one Caucasian brought this guy to temptation. He came from the heart of the ghetto, legitimately, and he was good. This could change the world. This would change music. Everything could be done through him. But we have to do this right. And that's exactly what we did, step by step. We dyed his hair blonde. We made him wear these funny costumes and told him, you have to be more funny. We have to promote you as being comical, as you're not serious, as a joke, so that the white teens and the younger parents wouldn't fear you as much, and we could sell you over to the other side. And then once we do, then we'll slow it down, and then you can go back to being who you are. And trust us, stick with us, you're going to make millions of dollars. Millions. And it worked. It was a hard process. getting him to believe in us. But as he started seeing money come in, he was able to take care of his family. Him coming from poverty was our anchor of success, because it's either this or you go back to nothing when you had nothing. You made it this far, listen to us, and we'll get you through. And that was the beginning stages of the termination of hip-hop.